Welcome students. Today we are going to learn the two different model of consumer behavior which fall under attitude. So last class we discussed about different models. Today we are going to learn about multi-attribute attitude models and elaboration likelihood model. So last class we discussed about tri-component model. What are the three things which affect the attitude of the consumer? And let's start with the multi-attribute model. So multi-attribute model that examine the composition of consumer attitude in terms of selected product attributes or beliefs. So it's all about the composition that consumer has his attitude. So towards the selected product and the attributes or belief he has. Okay. So if you look at multi-attribute, there are three aspects: the attitude toward object model, the attitude towards behavioral model, theory of reasoned action model. So the attitude toward object model, and this explains attitude is a function of evaluation of product specific beliefs and evaluation. So every consumer has its own beliefs, okay, and he evaluated on the basis of the belief he has. Useful to measure attitude toward brands. So where there is an object and he evaluate it on the basis of his beliefs. If you look at this advertisement, the positive attitudes toward brand help with brand extension. So if you look at the brand, it says it's all about Adidas, and obviously the sports person. So he has to run and he has work to be done, and there will be a sweat and there will be a bad smell. To control this, so they can use this Adidas, okay, and this is for specially made for the woman. And this is the first absorbent deodorant for women, and this is like it's an absorbent type of product, and which is explained. Now coming to the next, is the attitude toward behaving, okay, or acting with respect to an object rather than the attitude toward the object itself. Okay, so it's all about the attitude toward behavioral model, and what actually it's trying to explain is, so it's all about the behavior and acting toward an respect to an object, so rather than showing an attitude towards an object itself. So here comes the behavioral aspect towards the object, that is nothing but the we say product advertisement, how they use it, promotional strategy, and this is corresponds closely to actual behavior of the consumer. Okay, now coming to the next theory of reasoned action model, it includes cognitive, affective, and cognitive components. So this already we have studied in tri-component model. It is all three things comes with that: the belief he has, the value he has, the process how he decide, on what basis he decide, and the emotion how he take it. So it includes subjective norms in addition to the attitude of the consumer. Now, if you look at the simplified version of the theory of reasoned action, if you see there is a behavior, and behavior contains of intention, and there will be two type of thing: attitude toward the behavioral and below subjective norm. Now, if you look at attitude toward the behavior, believes that the behavior leads to the certain outcomes. So every consumer has his own beliefs, and these beliefs leads to the certain behavior of the consumer, and which comes as an output, and it comes as an attitude toward the behavior, and it lead to the intention and the behavior of the consumer. And the second aspect is evaluation of the outcomes. So obviously every consumer evaluate the outcomes, and again it leads to the behavior, and again the intention and the behavior of the consumer. Now coming to the subjective norm, if you believe that specific reference think I should or should not perform the behavior. So every consumer act. So even when we see ourselves, we should act in a which way when we are going to see the advertisement, when we are going to the shop or somewhere. So where our belief says, so whether I should or should not perform the behavior. So that comes with the aspect of the attitudinal aspect of the consumer. And next is motivation to comply with the specific reference. So obviously Motivation is one of the higher factor when it comes to the attitudinal model. Okay, and there are different reference which will lead to the subjective norms, and that act as an intention, and it will create the behavior of the consumer. So now coming to the elaboration likelihood model. So what this model is talk about, it's all about the how a person thinks, evaluate the knowledge what he has. Okay, so if you see it, actually we call it as ELM model of persuasion, and it's a dual process theory describing the change of attitude of the consumer. And it was developed by Richard E. Petty and John Cacioppo in 1980s. The model aims to explain different ways of processing stimuli, why they are used, and their outcomes and attitude change. It has two aspects, major aspects. One is the central root and the peripheral root. Now, if you see the central root, how actually it works, the persuasion will likely to result from a person's careful and thoughtful consideration of the true merits of the information presented in support of an advocacy. Suppose you are planning to purchase a laptop. So when you want to purchase a laptop, you're not bothered about the look what the laptop has. You are more bothered about the processor, the battery, okay, the RAM, how much it is, the type of screen display it has, the performance, the generation it has, which processor generation it has. So here you are carefully evaluating the information. And the central root involves a high level of message elaboration in which a great amount of cognition about the arguments are generated by the individual receiving the message. Now, choosing between two cars or two laptops or two mobile phones, so you evaluate everything, the uh, the actual part of the things. For example, if mobile phone I'm taking, so what type of what type of processor is there, and what is the display? Is it AMOLED display or is it LCD or is it LED? So type of display that matters. Okay, you're looking into such things. The results of attitude change will be relatively enduring, resistant, and predictive of behavior. Now coming to the second hand, this other side, that is the peripheral route. So this talk about persuasion result from a person association with positive or negative cues in the stimulus or making a simple interference about the merits of the advocated position. So when we were talking about the central route, for example, laptop we took, we were talking about the processor it has and the generation which it has, and the type of RAM, how much hard disk it is, operating system it has. But when it's come to the peripheral, I'm not going to evaluate such things. I'm just going to evaluate the look, the design, the outside face of it. That I'm going to look while purchasing the laptop rather than just looking the remaining parts. So the cues received by the individual under peripheral route are generally unrelated to the logical quality of the stimulus. So I talked about quality. So logical quality is all about how much RAM the processor it has. But illogically, I'm just putting my all in attention towards the designing of it. So these cues will involve factors such as credibility, or attractiveness of the sources of the message or the production quality of the message. That is how it is being told or communicated to the consumer. So the likelihood of elaboration will be determined by individual's motivation and ability to evaluate the argument being presented. So it's all about the consumer, whether he is going through the central route or whether he is going to the peripheral route. If you look at the examples, so elaboration, if we look while purchasing a car, so if left side, if you see, okay, the left side, that central path, it's think logically. So when we are going to purchase a car, when we think logically, so first question comes, I need a car. Okay. So second option, I look into the price of the product. That price is great. And then obviously everyone look for the performance of the vehicle. That is high performance. And fourth option is top car of the year. So this is how the central path is being evaluated. Okay. Now if the peripheral path is chosen and cues, fear and desire comes here, I just need a car. That is obviously. Second is sexy girls. The picture, if you see, there are two girls. So the attention is going to that word. So if I use this card, so I will be liked. Then I can pay. There is no logic. Okay. And this is the car for me. So evaluation is on the two bases. One is central path and peripheral path. Now, if you're looking at the another side, okay, the same thing like car. So central path and peripheral path. First, cost, how much insurance cost, safety rating of the car, reliability, reviews about the car, and fuel efficiency. This is how the elaboration is coming up, okay, to the central path. But when it comes to the peripheral path, we are here, it is illogical thing, that is the color, fluffy dash, okay, then speed, sex appeal, more expensive than neighbors, big wheels. So this is all illogical things we are going to see with the peripheral path. It's all about the cues that has a desire or a fear about the product. But when we are going to the central path, it is total elaboration, the knowledge we have, and all thinking is logical this side.